Welcome. This video will help you better understand the question and answer section of your webinar. I am Professor Meg Downey with Bellevue College. Today, we are going to learn about the types of Q&A sessions. As we discussed, unlike a webinar, the audience does not interact with the presenter in a webcast. It's during the webinar that the presenter offers a Q&A segment that is built into the presentation. You want to think of a webinar as a two-way flow of information. It might resemble a live classroom with the professor interacting with the students. When developing your webinar, you need to allow time for audience participation. The Q&A segment might be at the end of the presentation, or a chat feature might be used to ask questions throughout the discussion. Normally, slides are used by the speakers, and the last slide may literally have a question mark or simply a Q&A on it. Some platforms promote even more interaction, such as virtual whiteboards, post-it notes, and breakout rooms. And breakout rooms are a great way for small discussions as well as case study work. It should be noted that after the questions slide, speakers normally have a how to contact the speaker slide with the email, the website, any other information. The format of the webinar is intended to bring the speakers and the audience closer together. Allowing time for questions and engagement is a key way to better connect with your audience. For some events, Q&A and access to materials are not only a bonus, but required. To receive continuing educational credit for degrees, certifications, many states will require slides be available to the audience. On a web platform, it's best to have the speaker also have a co-host or someone assigned to manage the Q&A. As mentioned, sometimes the chat feature is used for questions, so it's best to have one person read the questions out loud and have another person answer them. Some web platforms allow you to unmute the audience during the Q&A session. While this is an option, I normally encourage speakers to have more control over their presentation and stick to the chat feature. You don't want your program going off the rails. Additionally, when marketing your webinar, you can create a field that an individual can actually register and submit their question. Receiving questions in advance can help you better prepare for your presentation. Now, if you choose to do questions in advance, I would still recommend that you have one person reading the questions out loud and another person answering them. This ensures that everyone can hear and understand the question. You might have someone in the audience that needs an interpreter, or you may have closed captioning for the program, depending on your audience. As a speaker, you may be asked questions that are uncomfortable, questions you don't know the answers to, or questions that due to confidentiality issues you simply can't answer. When presented with difficult questions, it's best to have a canned response ready so you don't get thrown. Some canned responses may include, "That's a great question. We're unveiling the information next week. I encourage you to check our website back." Or, "Thank you for your insightful question. I don't have those specific numbers with me, but let me reach out and I will make sure you have that information. My contact information is included. Please email me so I can follow up with you." You can do your best to prepare for questions, but it's nearly impossible to prepare for the unexpected. All you can do is stay calm and do your best to help educate your audience. There's nothing wrong with saying, "I don't know the answer to that question, but I will find out for you." Honesty can really pay dividends. While you leave time for questions, it is possible that there may not be enough for all the questions, or you actually may not get any questions. in order to ensure that you don't have dead air with no questions, I recommend at least having 2 plants in the audience that can ask questions. But make sure that you're strategic about this approach. Now, with all of that said, I challenge you to implement some of the Q&A tips that you just learned.